closure process. So in addition to educating people and explaining how to utilize city services, that's like one of the most basic things. The second thing is that what I said earlier about just how I campaign even, that this is not a passive thing. Mm-hmm. I don't just come to your porch, once every 4 years and get your vote. Tell me about some of the issues that you're having. We've even talked about organizing some larger geographic meetings even before the November election, once I win the primary. I can't do it now because we're going door to door. We've got to get through the whole ward. But I explain to people, rather than getting back to how the city works, rather than 10 people calling my office about the same problem and me spending 10 minutes, it's 100 minutes on the phone, I wish that the 10 of you could have found each other, because the problem's affecting you all. And one of you could have emailed or one of you could have called, and I could have utilized the extra 90 minutes that I would have saved to actually help you solve the problem. So that's the thing I was telling you earlier about helping us be accountable, helping us be efficient in how we do our jobs. The community, by organizing themselves, or us helping them get along, organizing it, can then help us in terms of our own efficiencies. So people getting involved, be it in their block group, their civic group, the development corporations, advisory board, or whatever we're going to do to bring more accountability and ownership on the issues of Clark Fulton, getting involved in things. One of the first things I do, it's not so much about what other people do, but again, it's about process. One of the first things I do, and it's based on my experience, I troubleshot posts for Peace Corps. When I went to Russia, there were 3 or 4 administrative officers in a period of about 9 months. Very difficult post.
A lot of turnover.
I got there about 9 months into that post starting, and I stayed 2 years and I think 8 months. It's only usually 2.5 years. They actually extended me a few months. But I turned that post around and get it operating. One of the first things you do in a turnaround is you strengthen what's there. It's not a time for huge new ideas or anything, because it's what I said before. It's activating things that are already there, remnants or whatever, and it's strengthening what's already there. That's the first thing that has to happen.
So, in applying to Ward 14, how would you do that if you think that Ward 14 needs a turnaround? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
We're already doing it just by meeting people on their porches, and anybody can observe, even from outside the ward, what needs to be done. I mean, I met with the Clark Metro Development Corporation's board, and I don't think that they have a large membership base at this point, and they're really just kind of placeholding and holding on to their organizational identity, which I commend them. It's an organization that's been around for a while. It's seen tough times. It's been in trouble, but they're holding on to it. It's a placeholder. What their role in the future is really up to them, and and they've told me that, and I respect that. But clearly, in terms of the 4 fingers, we've got to figure out who is servicing the area. A council office cannot expend money, really. We authorize expenditures, but we've got to find agents, either in the nonprofit sector or with the nonprofit sector's help, because those are the organizations that are qualified to receive funding, distribute that money and then leverage it through the private sector, which is very important in this economic time or any time. So the Development Corporation, or a organization that's going to service this ward, this community, is going to be very important. Now, we just consolidated 2 development corporations in Ward 15 and 16. We learned lessons there, I think. Again, visually, when you consolidate at the top, you've got to ensure that you're undergirding your grassroots community so you don't lose that connectivity. Mm-hmm. So, we are going to need to consider if Clark Metro's not going to choose to serve as what we would call a traditional development corporation, which I think a lot of people might say, well, that's a good thing because we need to look at new models. somebody's going to need, some people are going to need to serve this community. Where they come from, I don't know, but clearly they're going to need to be physically based in the community. There's going to be a physical office. They're going to be the oversight is going to be coming from people that live and work in the community. And people have a perception, rightly or wrongly, that the money that's being spent to serve that community is being spent on organizations outside of the community. Even though the staff are working in the community, the money, the oversight is being done by people from outside the community. That's got to get fixed quickly, very quickly. Apart from that, it's like we said earlier, we don't need to really repeat it, organizing and asking the people. I've asked the people in certain areas, if we were going to try to put a meeting together, because of the time, I'll have 2 months from when I win the primary to the November election. And I told them, if we want to try to put a meeting together, I'm going to ask you. I show them the map. I got the map of my wards that were cut up, my ward that was cut up. So I show people, I live on Mapledale. This is coming to new Ward 14. I have a new Ward 14 map, and I show them where they live, and I explain about that issue of geography. If I'm organizing by Scranton in Holmdel, we'll look and we'll say, there's a corner store, there's a restaurant, there's a lot that looks blighted. These are the things that you are concerned with. What other people in your area do you think you would relate to the most? Is it 3 blocks? Is it 4 blocks? Is it 5 blocks? Is it the point? Is it the point by Scranton in West 25th, all the way down to whatever street? What area do you think is your geography? It's a sense of place. And then we tell them, if you want, you define that area, and then you help us. Again, it's not passive. You're going to help us. We're going to do the flyers. You're going to help us flyer. You're going to come to the meeting. I tell a story of how I helped the community organize a group called Friends of Harmony Park, and they have a website. I can't remember the name of it, but you Google Friends of Harmony, HARMODY, and you'll probably find it. We did exactly what I just said. We had a park. We built a trail. We knew it was going to need maintenance. People were concerned about security. I wrote the $750,000 grant 5 years earlier. And even writing the grant, we knew that you needed local ownership. Not only that, the Parks and Recs Division of the City of Cleveland isn't well known for taking care of properties. No slight on the Parks and Recs Department, but this is what people tell me.
And they've got a lot of
in the community.
They've got a lot of parks to take care of.
Right. So we did exactly what I just described. We flyered probably a 10-street area, very big area. Previously to doing this, we tried some of the traditional approach of block club organizing. We took a street, Mayview, I think, and we tried to get people on Mayview. Let's take ownership of the park. Didn't really work. So what we did is flyer this larger area. We got other people to flyer the large area, the block club leaders, etc. I don't want to minimize the importance of block groups. They're very important. But what we're learning in these economic times and in the lack of respect, nuisance issues, physical decay, people need to come together with a little bit of larger vision than just their block.